What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and today is a very, very, very special video because I finally got in the mail Cyberfrog. So now, for those of you that don't know, Cyberfrog Blood Honey is a comic book put out by Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of the comic book industry. I don't know his entire intro, but for those of you that do not know, Ethan Van Sciver, you probably recognize this little logo that he has. He has a YouTube channel called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. He is a huge member of the Fandom Menace, and like I said, he's a comic book artist. So Ethan used to work for DC, and then I guess a little bit towards the beginning of his career, he created a character called Cyberfrog. And then once everything happened with the comic book industry, and then Comicsgate happened, Ethan decided to do his own comic and bring back his character Cyberfrog and do a crowdfunding on Indiegogo, and that is Cyberfrog. And so when I first got introduced to Ethan, I was watching one of his toy videos, and he had a little ad for Cyberfrog, and it didn't seem like something I would be too typically interested in. I do like creature design, but when I think about comic books, I think about, Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, the typical type of heroes. I don't think about like a cybernetic frog and his brother that's a salamander. I want to say salamander, but a salamander, but they're like cyborgs, and how wasps are invading the world and using humans and their blood for nectar for their babies, and a giant alien wasp have taken over the world. Not the typical story for a comic book that I would, go out of my way to buy. But I kind of got pulled into, the whole story, the whole idea, and the way Ethan talks about it with such conviction, I got excited about it. So I was like, I want me some Cyberfrog. I got my Cyberfrog t-shirt. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for this comic book, and it finally came in. So I ordered this comic book on September 4th, 2018. As of me filming this right now, it is September 21st, 2019. So it's been a little over a year, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Not too patiently, because I am not a patient person, but it finally, excuse me. I'm like choking on my words because I'm so excited. So it finally came in, and this is one of those things that if you do annoy someone enough, you can sometimes get what you want. This was not the cover that I ordered originally. I ordered the first cover that came out. It's supposed to be this Cyberfrog one, but it's on like a chromium book, so those ones weren't in yet. But I think I bothered Ethan enough to where he's just like, gosh dang it, Anna, here. And here it is. So I'm going to do a little review of it, but the first half of this review is going to be completely spoiler free because I know not everyone has gotten these yet. And then the second half of this is going to be full of spoilers that has to do with the story, because it's one thing to just look at images, but it's another thing to talk about the actual story. So we're going to do the non-spoiler half first. Starting off with this beautiful, beautiful cover, or again, this isn't the original one that I ordered, but it's still cool. Like, look at that. Look at the size, and I really like this. Usually when you're doing animation, you have like a character lineup so you can see the different sizes of each characters. And guys, I apologize, I am still fighting a cold, so if I sound weird, that's why. But look at the size comparison between Cyberfrog and Salamandroid. Now, Ethan did release prints of, or I think there is prints, but he released these images, so it's not like this is a picture that we haven't seen before. But one of the things that, at least for me, when I was a kid, and I would go buy comic books, they always came in like that plastic wrapping, like, as I knock over one of these, kind of like this. So they come in like these plastic wrappings with cardboard in the back to protect them. And so when I was a kid, you weren't allowed to open those. So you would just look at the cover, and I would always pick the one that had the coolest cover. And then it was always my biggest disappointment when I would open the book and like, look at this cool cover, and then it's like stick figures. And it's like the shittiest drawing you've ever seen. So that's one thing that I really like judge comic books on. I'm like, does the interior of this look as good as the cover? And this one does. Ethan is a fantastic artist. That's what happens when you spend 26 years doing something. And there are a lot of details on this character, or both of these, on all of the characters actually, but specifically on Cyberfrog. So the last couple pages of this book are the line art compared to the color, so you can see just how much detail, well, maybe not with my lighting, but you can see there's a lot of detail in this image. and then, you know, it gets to look all pretty with the color. And this is one thing that you can really tell the quality of the artist and how skilled an artist is if they can tell the entire story, like especially with comic book, just in, you know, the line art. And because a lot of artists that, you know, aren't the best artists, what they do is, you know, they maybe do the most basic line art, and then they just have, you know, really great colors, or they themselves are great colors, and they go in and add all this fantastic color, make it look all pretty, and so you're distracted. But then when you break it down to just the line art, if, you know, it still looks just as great, if not better, with line art. That's how you can tell the quality and, you know, the skill level of the artist. This is something that I think, you know, Ethan shows very well, his skill level as an artist, because Ethan doesn't do the colors. This is Kyle Ritter. Ethan does all the line art, and he does it traditionally, which means not on the computer. Ethan doesn't go and fix everything in Photoshop. He draws it by hand, which is a very, very time-consuming process, considering, you know, most artists nowadays, I would say, you know, maybe like 90% of the art industry now, it's all digital, if, you know, not more. That's one of the reasons why Glenn Keane left Disney, because he's a traditional 2D animator, and they wanted to transition Disney from 2D animation to 3D animation. That's why you see everything looking like Frozen, and that's why it doesn't look, you know, like Cinderella or Peter Pan anymore, because it's all digital, it's all 3D. So even though the color for this is digital, this is still traditional, and sometimes it's actually quite difficult to get a traditional drawing and then to traditional drawing and then to transfer it over to digital to do the coloring, because there's a lot of things that you have to fix. Sometimes the scanners aren't exactly the best, but that's one of the things about this, is that it's a very, very high quality product. And, you know, even when I was asking Ethan about that, because I wanted to know his process, just specifically because he's a traditional artist. He doesn't draw on, you know, Cintiqs or on tablets. He draws it all by hand, and I wanted to know his process, and he told me he has this industrial size scanner. He draws everything out in, you know, the Copic pins, and then scans it, sends it over to Kyle. Kyle does the coloring. And you can see this is the one of the Cyberfrog, and that's the one that's on my shirt. This is the one that's supposed to be the original cover. So that is one thing that you'll be getting from this book: quality, as well as, you know, not just the quality of the book itself, because this is a really nice comic book, also the quality of each and every single drawing. And you can see one of the things, I want to find a page that he has shown, because I don't want to show pages that he hasn't shared online already. But one of the things that you really need to consider if a comic book is good or not. Yes, some comic books can be, you know, the worst drawings ever, maybe a stick figure, but the story is so good and the way that they tell it is good. For me, at least for my standards of comic books, is the way you can tell if a comic book is I would say good, successful comic book, if the artist is good, is when you have one page and a story is told on a single page. So you can see this is an image that Ethan has shared before, so it's not anything new. So in this image, you are following the story of this woman and how she's getting, you know, eaten and turned into food for the babies by the Vespis. And so you see her get caught, you see what happens, you really see what happens, and then you see their process. This is a story in one page. So you follow the panels, and it goes in this S. That's how your eye travels on this page. There you go. So every single page of this is a work of art, and every single page in this comic book is its own story being told. And that's one of the things that I really admire in comic book artists, when they're able to do that. It's not easy, and people like Ethan make it look easy. There's this show that I did with my friend John Malin, and there's oh my gosh, of course I'm blanking on the comic book's name right now, but it's where we talk about comic books, and sometimes I get to go on and be a guest and ask comic book creators every single question under the sun. And the comic book that I was really blown away by was Monster Hunt MD. And, you know, every single page, it was just like I showed you with Ethan's. It was a story. It was, the artist was taking you through this little adventure on a page. And that, I think, is, you know, one of the things about making a successful comic book is you're traveling. Yes, you know, there's words on the page, but we're visual people, or most people that buy comic books, you know, we're tuned into the visuals. We want to see the visuals. Without even reading this page, I can follow what's happening on this page just by the visuals of storytelling. And that's something that's really important when you're a comic book artist. So, let's see, what else can I say that doesn't give any spoilers? every single, you think that this is detailed on the cover, every single page has that amount of detail in every single image. I understand why it took so long to make. At the same time, I'm still impatient. But every single page and every single drawing is a work of art. It did take Ethan a long time to do. And, this isn't something that just everyone can do. You have to have experience and you have to have patience to draw like this. And, I mean, the work shows for itself, and, the quality of the artwork is, if that's what you want, if you're one of those people that you want every single image to look like the cover, if you want everything to have like all this meticulous detail, even down to, zooming in as far as you can go with the magnifying glass and seeing like even the tiniest little lines, this is the comic book for you as far as the artwork goes. Now, I know I've been talking for a while, but it is time for me to get into spoilers because there's not much else I can say without giving spoilers for this. Now, after everything I just said, I do want to let you guys all know, and Ethan, I apologize, but I was disappointed in the story. It was like as if you're getting hyped about something for a year, and like, let's say Star Wars is coming out. You've only ever seen the trailer for Star Wars, the original Star Wars, A New Hope. You've only seen the trailer for it. You're so excited. It's going to be this great journey. There's, Luke Skywalker's going to be a Jedi. He's going to go and destroy the Death Star. He's going to go train with Obi-Wan. And then you get into the theater. The credits start, the opening crawl, and you get there, and then the movie ends right when C-3PO and R2-D2 meet Luke Skywalker. So this book is it kind of gives you blue balls because it's like I've been waiting a year for this and it just stops. It just cuts you off. I know Ethan did warn us about that. He said that it was going to be one of those like abrupt endings. Now, the problem I have with that, because there are times when you can do that. It's just this book, when you're telling a story, okay, they have the exposition, the setting, here are the characters, here's the bad guys, here's the world that we live in, then here's the rising action, here's the conflict, the conflict, and then you settle that, you either go one direction or the other, rising action, and then the end, the conclusion. This book is just the setting. It's just the exposition. This book is just, hey, this is Cyberfrog, this is the Swarm, this is Salamandroid, this is Heather, this is how they know each other. Cyberfrog's been sleeping for 20 years and he just woke up. That's the story in this book. That's not what I was expecting. There was other things in it that I felt were a little bit rushed, like Cyberfrog's friendship with Heather. I know I asked Ethan, it's like, are they, is it a romantic thing? And he said, no, it's platonic. The way that it's written, at least the way that the story is told, I know that that's one of the thing in comic books is, let's have, the pretty girl in the book. It feels more like a love interest than a friendship. Because I don't know very many friends that get tattoos of each other, but I don't know many friends that have friends that are like a superhero cybernetic frog. That was a very strange sentence. But it felt kind of fast. The way that friendship happened is like, oh, okay, it didn't feel as organic. There's some wasps that are in this that Cyberfrog and Salamandroid are fighting before the Vespis come, and that was something that was really confusing to me. I don't know if that was in the comic books that came before. I was disappointed when I was reading because I thought that there was going to be more, than all of a sudden it was over, and I was not expecting the book to end, and then it was just kind of like the making of Cyberfrog and kind of the background on it. That kind of threw me through a loop, and I was like, is it over? Is there more? So, on the bright side of that, though, I would say it's better that, I liked it, and I wanted more, as compared to, somebody going, oh, like, I hate that, I don't want more, I enjoyed it. I have questions. I don't understand those other wasp guys, why those ones could talk, why the Vespins couldn't, why those ones were fighting Cyberfrog and Salamandroid, why they had a bomb, what the point of that was. I didn't understand that. Again, maybe that's in the other comic books that I haven't read. Ethan said that you didn't need to read the other comic books to understand it. You just needed to read this. Maybe there was something that I missed. I don't know, but that was something that confused me. And, I was kind of you know, sad because I wanted to see Cyberfrog fight the Wasp. I wanted to see something epic happen. I wanted to see the world after, but we just got to see everything before and then like a tiny little snippet of what's happened. And, you know, it's sucky to think that I'm going to have to wait, you know, another year for the next part, and then I probably won't get the end of the story for, you know, maybe the next 5 to 10 years. But that's something that's kind of like you got to bite the bullet when it comes to that, because this isn't you know, the traditional comic book industry where another one comes out every month, where you're doing another comic book every month. Of course, the artwork would suffer tremendously if Ethan had to do this every single month, or, you know, do a new one every single month. His hands would probably, you know, swell up and fall off. But the fact that it's years and we have to wait, you know, another year for the next campaign and another one, that's a little disheartening, but I mean, it's good, so I know I'm going to. It's just waiting is the sucky thing. It's one of those things that you gotta bite the bullet. So I'm disappointed on the story and the amount of story that we got. That being said, there was a lot of work that went into this comic, so there is a lot of quality in here. It's just, don't expect to have, you know, this complete overarching story. It's kind of just the exposition. And so just because of that, I was disappointed, but I mean, there's a lot of good things about this book. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay too. And I'm sorry, Ethan, I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but hey, that's just my initial review and reaction to it. If you guys have gotten this comic book, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click that little bell. That way you get notifications when I do other live streams and videos. And until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day. And may the Force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and I have an Etsy store, so if you've ever wanted to own a print of my artwork, this is the place to go. As you can see, I have a lot of recognizable characters, from horror films to heroes to Star Wars characters. Some of the notable characters I have on here are Darth Vader, which I did a couple live streams painting, so you can own a print of this painting. I also have Luke Skywalker, the binary sunset version, one of my favorite scenes in the original New Hope movie. I have Darth Maul, which Ray Parks himself actually complimented me on Instagram. And then last but certainly not least, Ahsoka Tano. So if you want to own any of these prints, go right on over to my Etsy store. Again, that's The Art of Anna, That Star Wars Girl, or TSWG for short. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. What's up, everyone? I have a P.O. box, so if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, That Star Wars Girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.